Good morning. Welcome everyone for the Sunday session. We have like 140 tickers, maybe 135. My voice is a little hoarse, but that's okay. So definitely watch the video tonight. I'm going to do it as late as possible so I'd have the freshest information. So it's the strategy video is going to be completely different than the normal. Don't miss it. There's some revelations in there. I promise you. The SPX. Holy moly. Okay. Having said that, there's also some holy moly stuff going on in Bitcoin. You should pay attention to it. It does represent risk appetite in general. Okay. Now let's run through 3 videos, about 42 tickers each. We're starting with, and they're alphabetically ordered. You can fast forward through all the tickers if you're new. American Airlines is the first one. I honestly don't know why this airline is coming down like a rock. So I believe that dip on Friday was tradable on the earnings reaction. This is level from like 2011. And I compared it to a couple of the other airlines, mainly United Airlines. And there's not a lot of difference between the two. Maybe one's debt situation is a little better than the other one, but I honestly don't know why this one is hated and the other one okay. So fundamentally, you should answer the questions that I can't off the top of my head. Technically, this is so old, I had to go to a monthly chart, these levels. So we're talking the pandemic and 2011. If you have patience, half the position long here, half below 8, I guess, and then you'll probably rally back to 26 in the next few years. I have no idea. Everybody uses Boeing Airlines. So, Boeing planes. I don't know what's going on fundamentally. Technically, it's either going to minus 14, kidding, but not kidding, or technically it's triggering a head and shoulders that would bring it to minus 40 or something, which is not going to happen. So are they going out of business? Probably not. If I'm long, I'm not going to panic out this low. I wouldn't add until I answer the questions. So very careful. Nibble if you want for the long term. On Friday would have been awesome. Down whatever, under $10. That was probably a pretty darn good entry. Apple, I've heard of it. I've heard of this company. They have good things going for them, except for the CEO. Technically, this one is probably going to 208, 206. Okay, let's see if I have lines. Oh, all right. I like it at 212 as support, the area from here through 212. But I also think if they get to 222, 23 is going to be a problem. So they triggered a bearish scenario that targets 208, 207. They may erase it if they get back to 224. But until then, this played out perfectly, and it may have more. And if they ever trigger a diagonal one, I don't trade diagonal triggers. What do I mean? This. If they come down to here and bounce off of this and for some reason lose it, they trigger a scenario like this. I don't do that. I will put it there for visual reference in thin lines. I go off of levels. So for me, the threat would be losing the spot right there, 210. Okay, that wouldn't be mine. And this would be the confirmation. And then I would estimate for mine to be this is the bottom from that. And they kind of come to the same conclusion, but my trigger would be not like, oh, they triggered right here. I would be more patient to see them lose. This is a strong bounce zone. I respect it. This is a very bullish market. Even Apple is going to be bullish in it. So not a forecast to where I would hold puts, a forecast to where would I add to my longs. If it ever comes down inside these, pretty good gift in this environment. Fundamentally, I don't need to address it. It's just boring as hell compared to its competitors. Who? So if I'm buying a tech stock, why would I go for Apple when I can buy Microsoft? That's got everything going for it. And this one is playing catch up with a bad CEO. ABBV, zooming back out. Oh my gosh, yeah. I'd be out if I was a trader. because this looks like this. As a trade, this is not a place to enter. I don't know what you're asking me here. When it's done this, now you love it, or are you looking to short it? If you're looking to short it, you have no reference points, so be careful with that. If you're looking to go long it, I wouldn't touch it for months. Airbnb. Okay, so this blue box is an earnings reaction, I believe. So why are you losing that? If they don't recover what they did on Friday, like if they don't, let me rephrase it, if they don't get above 146, they're probably going to my red box. 145, 146, they're probably going to my red box. So I don't know if I liked it. I think if I'm getting long, I would want to sell puts to be long lower, but it's coming into an earnings reaction again, and this thing is wild. So look at this P&L. It's pretty crap. It's inconsistent. On a quarterly basis, what is this? On an annual basis is okay, but I have questions. This is weird. Must have won a lawsuit or something. I have no idea. All right. Abbott Labs, the resistance comment, perfect. Look at it. I can just extend it and move the R. It'll be perfect, right? So let's zoom out and see what's going on. Okay. So this, until they take out 109, they're going to ping pong inside of 109 to 99. 109 to 99. Whichever lines you breach first is going to go in that direction. So if you take out 109 with force, you can get to 114. If you lose 99, you're going to go to 92. It's ping pong between the two. That's more of a trading comment. Investing, just do your homework on the company. I'm not in love with it. All right. Adobe, good company. I think it's headed towards 480. There's a chance it would be up, but this is a pretty messy chart. Very messy. Look at it. You can fit a bus through here without touching anything and get out the other side. Gap, a bunch of gaps here, big gap here on the way up and down. It's like alert. It's weird. The heaviest point of volume is 520, 522, and it's like it's allergic to it. They always hop above it. They gap down, they gap up. It's weird. They get to it. So here, take a cue from 519 right there. Let's see what happens if I put a line across this top right there. I think it comes down below that line. That's my take, technically. Yep, I think I would not hold calls. How about that? ADDI, analog, devices. Not an encouraging, stable chart. Gap up, and it's in a cloud. What if the market hiccups? Earnings are coming. This is a nope. It's not an obvious point of entry. I would like it better in a more stable, like closer to 205, 208. If I'm an investor, I wouldn't go all in. I would leave a lot of room to add. ADM. This red W, two of them, played out almost twice. So played out once to target 1.5. Target 2 is down in this area, 61.50, 61.40. They came pretty close. It doesn't inspire confidence. I think this is an environment, this is a spot that is pretty important. Let's see if they can come out of it. 64, 65, 64.5, 65 should be resistance. I think it's easier to come down from the charts, but there's earnings as well. So there you go. AES. I forgot what they do, but it looks like I have a lot of... Okay, so resistance held up. And I thought they would dip and come back. They didn't. So I said I would buy the dip, I remember now, to see the opportunity to get up to here, and that opportunity did not happen because they dipped. Wow, that's a pretty good dip. And they may be pricing in 275. Okay, so this one might end up at 1550. They're selling rallies. Rally sold, rally sold, rally sold, rally. Maybe it'll be sold. Okay, so be careful. So if you do this from here to here. Wow, check it out. They fit perfectly. Let's leave it there. Let's see what happens. Align. Wow. The reaction to the earnings was pretty bearish. And they don't even have competition anymore. Their competition went out of business. The dental club or whatever that was. And this technically is not good. So they need to recover 240 pronto, or I think they will come down to the prior hold. And if they lose that hold, they come down to like 120, if not lower. So that's forecasting forward. They're triggering a bearish, like 63. Yeah. If they don't recover where they fell from last week, they're probably headed to 190. AMD. You see the squiggly marks that says it's a point of contention, area of contention. If you look left, several times fought over. So it should be support, unless they decide that it's overpriced and they want to drop it before their earnings. So rallies into 148, this is now resistance, are going to be met by potential sellers. So now it's become easier to drift lower. It's right here right now. Let's delete that. And this is a zone that they fought over and bounced from before. And now they're below it. So how about they need to at least get to 146 to get out of this lower low? Because if you think about it, this whole rally is being priced to a lower low, which then will probably bring 112. Because they were buying dips and that changed. They made a much lower low and another lower low. So the bears are taking hold of this one with earnings in 2 days. So it's a come to me during the day before the earnings, and I will look at the options to tell you short term what we're looking to do. Amazon. All right, so it looks like they are starting to trace out my head and shoulders and played out half of it. So this whole thing, that was my target. They came pretty close. That's my target twice over. They just took a detour. And now Amazon, with 4 days until earnings, needs to get above 190. Like, whose idea was it to put the earnings on Fed week? So next week, it's going to be bumpy. It's going to be very bumpy. Oh my gosh, the more I think about it. They do that every once in a while. They coordinate all the large companies to report on the week where we have a Fed event. I believe we have a Fed event. Bezos keeps selling. So what? He sells all the time. Every CEO sells all the time. Bezos has 2 private companies that he has to finance out of his pockets. It is not a concern that he's selling stock. He's living his life. Doesn't mean his company's crap. Okay, so this rally sold. Rally. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a dumbass move is what I'm saying. Okay, so now the forecast forward. If this plays out and they bounce one more time and they lose it, they will be down in the 160s, 150s. I'm not going to put it on paper. I said it for your ears. If you're watching, then you remember. ANF. If you've been here a while, you know my debacle with ANF. This is a sham. This chart was a sham. Look at this chart. Better than NVIDIA. Look at this PNL. Nowhere near NVIDIA. This is not worthy of that. I don't care what the story is. This chart does not belong on ANF. You're going to have to come up with new math to tell me that this is a logical thing for this PNL. Okay. Having said that, that was at the same time ELF was doing the same thing, or some other company like that. Something was going on in these stocks, and we tried to short. It didn't work, and I put that ticker away. So I don't know what you're asking me. If you want to buy the dip, not with my money would I ever give them a penny, because until you explain to me how a stock can do this, I don't touch it. Now you can trade it short term using charts, and even then I would caution you. So for the short term, they're selling rallies. So I would assume that the rally, when it comes next, will render a lower low. And this was a pretty good base, so maybe they'll put the stand at 146. But if you lose last week's low, it's probably going to 130 in a series of lower low and lower high. I'll wear their jeans if they fit me. Advanced Auto Parts, is that who that? No, AAPL. All right, so I still say the same thing. They're trying to hold the floor. Otherwise, they might end up at 63. And now they have a legit roof. So this company needs to be above 82. So I'll put another line up here. I don't think you can. I think it's easier to get to 65. Earnings in 10 days. When I say earnings in 10 days, it means anything is possible. Up, down. Okay. Here, I gave you a perfect chart on ARM. Actually, my target is this arrow. That's Nick's target. This is the official target. And this is the probable price action. And we got to my target halfway through the probable price action, at least 40% of the way to the actual target. What target? Look at this head and shoulders up here. So this is the measured move, this guy. Okay, that's how they measure that. Who's they? Machines. If you give a machine and you say, give me a target of this breakdown, the machine will tell you, I think we're going to 120. That's what the machine will say. Nick says, yes, but you might stop at 135. That's Nick's arrow. Why? Just my own. I look at charts every day. My own intuition. And the trajectory, the price path would be dip, pop, and then the secondary dip. And that's where the question comes in. Can they take out Nick's target? If they can, then they finish the whole job. Okay. So this is not a bullish chart as far as the company. It's outstanding. 3 days from now, we will find out if the market thinks so or not. Areas of interest. Right there. This one is still there. Yep. AVGO, also a good company, also broken down technically. You see how many tech names we're saying broken down technically? Yep. And that's what's going on right now. Tech led us up here, and tech is a problem. So this right here is a pretty good level. If you look left, they fought over it a few times. Once, twice, and this is the third time. So there is a potential, of them starting to sell rallies. All I did is copy what happened here and say, let's move it forward and see if it happens again. That's just a potential forecast, okay? Maybe they're starting to sell rallies. So unless they get above 165, this is probably the path. So don't be quick at adding. If I bought it here, I'm not adding here. If I'm looking to go long, I will take 20% of my position tops. I don't remember ever looking at AZUL before. You have buyers below 4 and sellers above 4.8. Ping pong between those two values here. BABA, I don't trade BABA because China politics comes in, and you have support and resistance, and they're stuck between the two. Hopefully my buddy got out here because he was buried in BABA on the way down, and he was very stressed. I sure hope he watches this video and see if he got out here. Probably not. That is an island. BABA does this a lot. And every time you see a stock pop out of nowhere and give it up in 2 days, get out, because it carries lower much longer, like these, like this. not so much here. Well, maybe. So like that. Okay. So for me, Baba hit a target, but I tell you what, if Alibaba goes down below 71, it probably goes to 50 or lower over the next few months. I wouldn't be long Alibaba, but it is not bad to be long inside this long-term support. Okay. So if someone's long for this opportunity, I get it, but it's just not for me. Same comments exactly on BIDU, except BIDU's support is a little bit more ginger. This is closer, and it's only one. Alibaba had several, and they look solid, more solid. So how about we say this? I'm going to put an alert here. If this guy loses 85, ditch it, because you don't know how low they want to go. And if it gets to 99, 98, 95, I'd be out. If I'm a trader. BMY, big bounce. So I don't know what you're asking me here. Are you asking me to go long? Then your instinct to invest is backwards. Now that everybody loves it and it's up probably 20%, maybe 30%, 30%. Now you feel comfortable investing. You're going with your feeling, not your mind. Your mind should have told you, let's take a flyer on it here, if at all. I wouldn't have, but that would be the instinct. At least your mind should tell you, oh, I missed it, because this held up and they're going into where they crashed. If I'm stuck here, I'm out. That's overhead supply. Your instinct should be, okay, let me get out. If that's what you're asking, yeah, I would be out quick. I don't care what they said. It's not in the P&L. There's no improvements here. So Bros is good tradable. I think if they lose last week's low, they come to 34, 33. So they better not lose this guy. And they have a lot of resistance above. Earnings in 10 days. Long-term investment or not, that's not where I would start with BMI. That's my point. The long-term investment idea should kick in when it's down on news that you know is a good thing. If you think that they bought a company, BMY, and they fell because they bought a company, and you're an investor in BMY, this is where you consider it for an investment, not when it recovers 30% from where it fell. So this is where you don't trade the news. You use your information and you do your homework and you look at the chart and you decide to get in like Buffett when the schmutz is hit the fan. Bitcoin, I told you some stuff is going on. It's politically related. It's absolute nonsense because nothing changes, okay? We're proponents of Bitcoin. We're believers that whether you think it's fake or not, it's an asset that has millions after it, and it's rarer than gold, okay? And it is e-gold. We can have a whole discussion about it. Let's say it's cow patties, if you know what that is. It's cow poo-poo. Let's say it's so rare, this version of the cow poo-poo, that you have millions of people wanting to buy this cow poop. It has value. If someone told you you can buy this cow poop and sell it and triple your money, would you not buy it? Yes. So let's just say this is cow poop, and it technically has a breakout that can make it double from here. Okay? So what am I saying? If you're shorting Bitcoin somehow, I wouldn't. And make it technical. If you're shorting it, make it a finite. Like if you're buying puts in some sort of an ETF, fine. But if you're shorting it because you don't believe in it, you're being silly. It doesn't matter if you believe in it or not. It's an asset and it has a lot of demand. And guess what? The demand is going to explode because of your buddies in JP Morgan, your buddies in Goldman Sachs. Now they have asset allocation confirmation. They created something that they can sell to the people. You can bet your ass they're going to sell it to the people. Hey, why don't you put 1% of your assets in crypto? Because they created ETFs. Why do you think they created them? So now they're incentivized to sell the idea of investment, asset allocation. Mathematically, crypto is heading much, much higher. Echo, that's funny. Okay. Anyway, keep your eye on crypto. Don't go blindly long. Just listen. Don't hate it because you don't believe in it. It's silly. It's like weird. If you're an investor, like Jamie Dimon, to think there's an asset that he doesn't want to participate in it because he doesn't believe in it. Meanwhile, evidence in his face that people do believe in it. Anyway, BX this here is not an obvious entry point. A nice breakout, but straight into a huge breakdown from 2021. So the markets have made a higher high a long time ago, right? And this one just now is going into the higher high from the pandemic high. Not for me. If you twist my arm, I will take a bearish position. I don't know anything about the company. In fact, I'm going to put it on my investment list. I don't know why, but I'm going to. I want to revisit it. It is shortable from a technical perspective. 81 days until earnings. Yep, I'm comfortable selling a call spread out here for the rest of the year and buying a put spread and see what happens. So not an obvious point of entry. Again, if you're now comfortable chasing it, I think you're a little late. It might have a little bit more upside. So if I do short it, I would sell a call spread much higher than here because it could get to 152. I still wouldn't invest in it up here. Carnival. Yeah, I can't read all of this. You can post all you want. Trump said and Trump did. I won't read this stuff. I'm doing videos here for 130 if I stop to read this. I've traded Bitcoin perfectly, not listening to one guy or girl out here other than doing my own homework. So this is what's going on. They're consolidating, trying to break out. I don't think it's easy. I wouldn't bet on it. Every time it comes here, you can fade it. If you're an actual trader, you just trade the range. If you're an investor, there are better P&Ls, better balance sheets to invest in. Kudos to them that they survived the pandemic. I mean, that was a hideous, hideous time for them, and management must be pretty good. So as an investment, yes. Entry point, traders, I get it. If you're going in here to get to here, I get it. They're buying dips. That's what's going on. I challenge them to beat 1840 this time. I think 1840 is going to be difficult. So let me give you a visual on it. This area, I think it's difficult. I don't want to shade it like this. I think this is a pretty tough spot, resistance. Just good old resistance. Now, if you clear this one, you start my path. Cadence. Not sure what's going on with Cadence. Look at the solid P&L. No, this is not Cadence. Yeah, it is Cadence. And, oh, I know what's going on. It just went too far too fast. The old school comments. Okay, so here's the new school comment. If it rallies into 295, I feel better about it. If it cannot recover 290 or 295, I think it's going to 235 first. It's easier to come down to this zone than it is to come up to that zone. Earnings in, oh, they just reported. Yeah. So if I was an investor, like wanting to buy shares, I would have sold puts on red days. Maybe you still have that opportunity. Solid support is below 240, just from the charts. Fundamentally, it's a good company. If I invested in it and I went all in, I made a mistake. I've been saying for months and months, don't invest up here. If you have to, sell puts below so you build yourself 30%. Or nibble 10% of your position, 20 tops. On some stocks, I would say take half. That's because they've already fallen. This one has not. So as an investment, I would not add if I'm long. If I'm looking to get long, I would not go all in. As a trade, you're falling into a prior bounce. You take a long with an immediate stop. If this bounce fails, they will come down to 230 or 220 or even 205 pretty quickly. I would argue that they already triggered a $50 decline. I think they already targeted 28 from here. But my number would be $22, which they're in the zone right now. Charter. Okay, so again, who's asking for these? If it's the same person asking for Charter as the other stock, BMY, you need to if you are, but same comments come here. Now you're comfortable going long charter, then you should probably flip your investment instinct backwards. Okay, because you're going into a prior fail. This is where I would exit if I'm long. No questions asked. I would be out faster than you can imagine, especially when the P&L looks like this. Okay, what are my expectations from here? All these potential sellers are right here, and they gave me this out right in the middle of this gigantic candle. I would have taken it, no questions asked. So it might go to 420 or 440. It's going to have to do it without me. If I'm looking to go long here, no. If I'm looking to short, you can, but carefully. Comcast. It's got a very wide range. You can put a box around the earnings. Reaction right there, and trade the box for months. This is your box. Trade it for months. What does that mean? It means you don't go long at the top end of the box, and you don't go short at the bottom end of the box. You expect them to sell it here and buy it here, and sell it here and buy it here. So where's here? Anything in the top 1/3 of the box, I would no longer initiate longs. I would get out of longs. Anything in the lower 1/3 of the box would be my entry longs and exit the shorts. Ping pong until they lose one of the edges. Coin. I'm surprised that coin is not rallying with Bitcoin, which proves my freaking point. Every time somebody says, "Ooh, I like coin," first of all, earnings in 4 days. Whatever I tell you now is not going to matter, but the concept matters. Coin will follow the market in the end. If you see Bitcoin rallying like now, and the market having a red day like this week past, coin is not exploding like Bitcoin, which is trying to push up into its highs. 4 days from now, the reaction to coin is going to be arbitrary. So come to me the day of its reporting, and we will look at the options and see where the market wants to be. Right now, it's in the middle of a strong buyer and a strong seller. You take out 272, who knows how it goes. 310, if you lose the support from last week, you will probably lose 208 and go to 185 or 180. If you lose 180, I don't know how low it goes. All these are, it doesn't matter what I say. In 4 days, it's going to react arbitrarily, and it's not going to react to its income statement. If you still believe that, let's have a conversation. I can mathematically convince you from last week another set of earnings that absolutely sucked. They were like the worst earnings possible, and the stock rallied 12 and 15%. It's all about expectations. CrowdStrike, I wouldn't touch it. If I'm stuck long in it, I would not add. I think the stock is probably going to lose 200 by mile. There's going to be huge repercussions, most likely. And just in case there are, I don't want no part of it. If I'm already long, I'm protecting myself somehow. If I'm looking to get long, I will take a small position just in case. Because what do you think is going to be the headline stream from here on out? Good news, there's not going to be any lawsuits. I doubt that. They tell us, not me, Microsoft's words, the largest computer outage ever, billions of dollars lost in business by companies and people. You don't think it's going to have a few class action lawsuits against it? Not for me. But once that number comes out, what number? Once we know an actual number that they have to pay and move on, that will cause the stock to spike, because then there will be no questions on Wall Street. Then they can evaluate the opportunity, and they usually buy it up. So you're going to have to feather the throttles with that one. Cisco, it's in a base. There might be an opportunity to break out above last week's high, or even better, above 49. So I would say if it gets to 49, maybe it gets up into that long candle. And earnings are in 17 days. Solid support. I wouldn't expect a company as stable as this one to lose the support. Although sales are dropping. Like this is 5 months, 5 quarters. So keep an eye on the sales. CVS, too wild for my own taste, so I don't trade this. It looks very enticing to be long. If they take out 62, they get to 68. I don't remember why gap down. I honestly don't know. So find out if there's anything fundamentally wrong with it. The P&L is not that clear that there is. So yes, it looks like an opportunity. This line is pretty. It might be too pretty. So 62 is a catalyst, but I don't think it's an easy one. Earnings in 10 days, maybe the earnings will help it. Caesars. Whoa. Okay, so you can go long technically into 32 and stop out if you lose X percent. So let's say I allocate $1,000 to go along Caesar, however, calls, sold put spreads, bought shares, whatever it is. If I'm buying shares as an investment, all I have to do is just take half the position. Because if you lose that support, there's a big dip. Then you add the second half, no problem. Then you'll be in at a reasonable level as an investor. Or sell puts to buy it below. Also no problem. Earnings in 2 days. Who knows what it's going to do. But if somebody's going long here because they know it, leave room to add, and I think you'd be fine. It could bounce hard into 41 or 42. Delta, I wouldn't touch it. This looks like target 1 of 2, although it trades way better than AAL or whatever. Yeah, AAL, the first ticker we saw. It could get to 46, technically. This green M says it goes back to 46. I think it's also playing that red W. So we have a pattern inside of a pattern. So maybe it rallies to 46, and then it dips, and then it comes back down to 39. So from a trading perspective, that's the comment. They are selling rallies. And if they lose, so put an alert. If you lose 42, you're probably going to lose 40. And it's going to be a bear to take out 46.50. And I'll put an alert here, and I'll say progress. Huge progress, technically. Investment-wise, I would never invest in airlines. Never. Have you ever been happy flying an airline? No. I would never invest in an airline. They don't know how to run their business. And I fly once a month at least. Lou, what ticker was that? The question. Okay, so this here is, who is this? The Dow. Yeah. Something's going on with the Dow last week. So the problem with the Dow is that it's heavily manipulated. And now, believe it used to be only one stock, UNH. And now we have like 6 or 7 stocks that are huge. And they're heavily manipulative. So it's like a multi-headed dragon. It's shortable into the prior fail. But any one of 6 stocks maybe can take it to the moon, even if the rest of the index is sleeping. So you have companies like Goldman, JP Morgan, Home Depot, I forget, CRM. They're high dollar stocks. So if they move 1%, they count more than Apple. So that is the statement there. Don't trade it with complete confidence. And I don't sell anything in it. I usually buy something. So if I wanted to short it or go long, I usually buy an at the money put or call. I think it's shortable, but then you're shorting the market. It's a tough trade. Multi-headed dragon. I'm short JP, so I guess and Goldman and oh yeah, and Goldman had an incredible week last week, so which is pretty weird, but that's probably why it's going up there like that. Disney, great company. Financials and such, they have some of the best assets in the world. In the next few months, there could be a dividend headline. Yeah, that was correct, by the way. All right, so ta-da. This is not a place where I would exit if I'm an investor. And if I bought shares here, I wouldn't add here. The market has never been higher. What if the market corrects? Then Disney might end up and be in the 80s. So 85 or lower would be a bargain. So I can put that. What I just said, I can put it in motion today. I can sell puts to own shares lower. It has earnings coming in 10 days. Let's say I wanted to own 200 shares. I can sell a put below here. So I could buy those shares ahead of time or commit to it, and somebody will pay me money today. Reach out if you want to know something about that. If I hold stocks in Disney, the question is, if I hold stocks in Disney, should I sell? I don't know. Your entry and all of that. Every situation is different. When I hold stocks, I immediately sell covered calls. So if I did that, I should see, stick to your stop loss. Pick a number that will get you out. How much are you down? 30%, 40%? Are you in a full-size position? If I'm not in a full-size position, I wouldn't ditch the company unless I stopped believing in it. So it's the answer is complicated. Okay. DraftKings, earnings in 4 days. People, when you ask me about a company and then earnings are in 4 days, it doesn't matter what I say. All that is out the window. I can tell you that there is a scenario to 29. There is a scenario to 44. It probably hits both of those on earnings day. We shall see. Okay, so all by itself, I would say it can rally to 42 or 44, but I think that would be resistance zone. Okay, and same comment to 41. So rallies are going to hit a prior baseline. You see that head and shoulder-ish pattern, $8.40. The target of that, we'll put it in here. And so I guess you can say it differently. They are selling rallies and making lower lows. So if I copy this behavior, rally, lower low, this behavior, rally, lower low, you should expect a lower low. Okay, so I just copied it and I'm making it wider because more time has passed on this one. Earnings in 4 days, who knows where it goes. Again, come to me the day of the earnings before they report, and we'll look at the options and see where the pros have their money. Okay, this one, I looked at it before. I forgot what PS11 is. Anyway, I don't know what happened, but it punched through very important levels of support, down 40% in 1 day. I don't care what they said. There's nothing wrong in this P&L. So do your homework on why it happened. Like, what happened? Did they say we're out of business? Or is it acted reasonably well? I don't remember this comment when it was. It's old. So I have to look back to 2019. Oh, thank you. Yes, that's my own. So price to sales was 11. Price to sales was 11. It was a bargain. Let's see what price to sales is here. Thank you. I'm drawing a blank. Statistics. 11. Hey. Hey. Okay, so but here's the deal. This here is still 25, 30% above 2019 highs, which were pretty extended. So this technically is definitely not a bottom, and a drop of 40% is likely to carry forward a little bit longer. You know how they said 3 days? Well, that's because of the settlement dates. Now we're down to 1 day of settlement, so I don't know if that rule still applies, but that's a big drop. There's going to be some consequences. So if I sold the put to own shares below, yes, that would be the way I would handle it. So I'll put it to my list of things to watch. Maybe we can trade it. Enphase, no touchy. Enphase, no touchy. It is pretty obvious. This here is proof that the reaction to the earnings is not about quality. Okay, this guy, check it out, up 12% on earnings. Listen to these statistics. They missed top line and bottom line. Misses. They shrunk 57% in sales. They missed on the estimates, both, and they shrunk more than half in sales, and the stock rallies. And then you have lowers and raises. They can't even agree on it, the pros. Some lower, some raised. It is an absolute mockery, joke, and it's perfect proof positive that the earnings reaction is not about the quality. That's all I'm going to say about this. Look at the sales. I wouldn't invest in this company. They have great products, but look at the sales. They're off a cliff. You have to tell me what's going on. So study the company if you're invested in it. Learn as to how they're dealing with growth. Technically, you can't short it because it might go to 132, but I don't trade it for myself. I've walked away from it completely. Oh, okay, Eddie. All right. Okay. You go and tell me if this is not proof enough for you. Forward. What did they say? Someone go get me the number as to what they said. The forward. If they didn't say we're going to grow 40% in sales, then everything I said, you just proved my point. Yeah. Go and let me know. That'd be awesome. ET. Not an obvious entry point technically. This red W or this red thing on my screen. Actually, forget that red thing. The red thing played out, but there is a target 3 of it, which is about 16. But this rising wedge says it might go to 15.7 or 8. So there is a potential of ET coming down to this zone. So trading wise, if you're looking to enter for a longer term, I would wait for a dip. 10 days earnings. This one, who is this? Fortinet. Same business as Crowd. So maybe it's feeling the woes of that. I have to tell you that losing 59 is a big deal. 59 looks like it's the high point of volume. Look left. And you want to be above it. You don't want to be below it. If you're below it, that becomes a huge resistance line. So this one might drift to 54. If I wanted to rephrase it, it's easier to get to 54 than it is to 61 or 62. Okay, so it's easier to drift lower than to pop. Earnings in 9 days. The P&L looks very stable. Look at it. It's just all the sales and bottom line is uniform. FXE. Okay, so this is currency. This is the euro against the dollar. It's a mystery to me. We have the Eurozone cutting rates, and we are talking about cutting rates. So do you remember the race to zero with the central banks? We're back in that. Just trade technically. You have sellers at 101. If you take those out, you go to 102.50, and you have buyers below. So trade the motion. I wouldn't go long here. I think it's easier to drift lower, but that's headline driven. And this week will be one of those headlines because what the Fed says will matter. They're not going to do anything, but what they say will matter. I don't trade GBTC, and I don't think you should. You should do homework on it. I would trade BIDU. They pay a ton of dividends when crypto is doing well, and I mean a ton. Like you could be owning free BIDU now if you bought it when I told you. We bought BIDU in the 11s and the 12s. It went up to 34 or whatever, but all throughout, it must have paid more than $11 in dividends since ownership. So if you bought 100 shares, you own them free and clear, or close to it. I don't think this one says the same. So anyway, prior fail, but that's the conversation with crypto, right? I told you. Look out. This one could be at 68, just like crypto. Look out. Crypto, Bitcoin can make a new high. I don't think it's a sure thing. I think you need to watch Ethereum. Ethereum is the more honest one because it doesn't have direct comments from, say, Trump or Harris or whoever. Just pay attention to the charts, not the job owning. Okay. All right. So this is the end of video 1. We're going to stop that.